Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Ravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhirya Jatra Sthirairangai Stushtuvagun Sastanubi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayu Swasti na Indro Vridhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarksho arishtanemi Swasti no brahaspatir dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are in chapter 3, and I think Mark said verse 29.
Yes.
Yep. Will you help us out, please, son? Yep.
Yata swapne dvaya basam spandate maya manaha tata jagrad dvaya basam spandate maya manaha. As in dream, the mind acts through maya, delusion, revealing the appearances of duality. So also in the waking state, the mind projecting through maya causes the appearance of the world of multiple objects.
So, many times you've heard me in class say, you are the God of your dream. If we clearly understand the dream state, it is a microcosm of the infinite. In the dream state, the first thing that happens is we go to sleep. We call that avarana shakti, veiling power, meaning the essence of deep sleep is the non-apprehension of myself as the waker. Only thing I know is I know nothing. And I can't even have the thought, I know nothing. Avarana Shakti. Then comes Vikshepa Shakti. Kshipati is the root that means to hurl or throw like a spear. So the mind goes, ta-da! And we get the dream state. the dream state is characterized by what we call the triputhy, the triple factor. In the dream state, I have a dream body, which is a locus of perception. I peep out of the dream body at the dream world. And I have a dream ego identify with the dream body. And I have a world outside of people, places, things, and conditions. And I have an interior world of thoughts and feelings. Not this morning, but yesterday, just before I woke up, I had the weirdest dream. I was in this school and I was with a bunch of people and we were in this classroom and there was a music theory teacher. And, you know, it's bad enough when I have senior moments in the waking state, but I had a senior moment in the dream state. I knew the professor and I couldn't remember his name. When I woke up, I said, oh, that was Frank LaRocca. That was my old theory teacher back when I was in school. So weird dream. So in the dream state, dream body, by the way, I could see perfectly in the dream. But in the dream state, I had a senior moment, which was different than the waking state. And we've all had experiences like this, haven't we? So you've got the triputhy, the triple factor, a knower, individual, knowing, hearing, tasting, seeing, touching, smelling, etc., and known, classroom, music teacher, etc. You are the God of your dream. This process is what I like to call mini Maya. It is a microcosmic experience of what happens cosmically. So consciousness, which is the ground of being of everything, has as an inherent property Maya Shakti. Now there's a big difference, there's more than one. But one of the differences between the cosmic Maya and our individual Maya, the infinite never loses its self-apprehension. But in the world that is imagined by the infinite, the creatures in it do not know who they are. Just like in the dream, when you have a dream, most of the time, some of us have lucid dreams, but most of the time I do not know I am dreaming. To the dreamer, the dream seems just as real as this does. How do you know you are not dreaming right now? Who here has seen the movie Inception? It's been out a long, long time. So in the movie Inception, people go through dream state, into another dream state, into another dream state. Each one of them seems very real. And in the movie, how do you get back to something that's beyond the dream state? Remember that? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Well, the difference between that and reality is there's no objective reality that is not a dream. Now, When at night, you, the waker, you are Mini Ishwara, the God of your dream. You're lying in bed and you're just fine. If you have a falling dream, anybody have falling dreams? But you don't go splat on your bed when you wake up. If you're out riding horses, you don't wake up with a horse in bed with you. If you're in prison in the dream, to the dreamer, the problem seems to be, how do I get out of the jail? The dreamer goes from being in prison to not being in prison. But that's different than waking up. Seeing the whole thing as imagination, as sankalpa. Imagination. This is no different. Now, there's a couple of ways that the scriptures talk about how we can look at this projection. One thing to know is Vedanta is not solipsism. Who can tell me what solipsism is?
Is that there's nothing, ultimate reality is nothing at all? The void?
Nope, that's
No.
nihilism.
Nihilism.
Solipsism is when you maintain the reality of your individuality, my ego, and everything out there is just a projection of my own mind. Some of the new agey metaphysicians go into this position. You know, why am I yelling at me through my boss? You know, everything out there is just a projection of my own mind. All of a sudden, you stop having people in your dream, you know, in your world, but you maintain the reality of your ego. Vedanta does not say that. The one doing the dreaming is the infinite. Your body, mind, intellect, and your ego sense are a character in God's dream. That's one way to look at it. Another way is to understand the idea that we had in the first chapter. The scripture uses the term, no, I guess it's in the commentary, it's in Gaudapada, Hiranyagarbha, which literally means golden egg. A garbha is a womb or an egg. And it's seen as the total mind in some scriptures. In others, it's seen as the creator God. But the idea of the total mind is what we see as the phenomenal universe is the sum total of all these little individual projections. It's as if there's an infinite number of minds projecting the totality. So that if Santosh were hit by a bus, a little bit of creation winks out of existence. And when somebody has a baby, a little piece of existence pops into reality. Doesn't matter. The whole thing to understand is it is sankalpa, it is imagination. And the scripture actually, the Karika here, actually used the word spanda. Who can tell me what spanda means?
Vibration.
Yes. A lot of debate about this word. It's a word the tantrikas are fond of using. Consciousness vibrates a little. That's what brings about all this. Others will say, no, there's no motion. It's achalam. It's not moving. Don't worry about it. It's a minor point. Is the whole world just vibration held together by thought? Or does it appear like the images in a mirror? Actually, the Advaitins tend to go towards that second posture. So when you see your reflection in the mirror undergoes no change. When I bring out the crystal ball and you see images in it, the stone undergoes no change, even though we see images in it. So what? Don't worry. It's all okay. Not only are you never really touched by it, but even though the names and forms constantly undergo change, ground of being is still there. Well, what about when someone dies? Don't have a right to grieve. You can do anything you want. But why are you grieving? Well, this is my relative. Well, let's analyze this. Who here has lost a sibling? Any of you? What about a parent? Did you grieve the loss of a parent?
Mhm.
Who here has lost grandparents? Did you grieve the loss of your grandparents? Yes? No?
Not really.
What about your great grandparents? Anybody grieve the loss of their great grandparents?
No.
You were related to them. Why didn't you grieve them? Didn't know them. Yes, meaning there was no attachment. No attachment. It isn't because we're related. It's because we're attached. And we see other people as if they were their buddy. I was talking with a friend this past week, and his father bought a family plot, I think in Colma or someplace like that, for the whole family. This fellow in his 60s got married, gay man. So he says, I want to rest next to my husband when I'm dead. Isn't that romantic? Dude, you won't be resting. You won't be there. Oh, I've been planning my funeral. It's going to be so lovely. I can't wait to see how people are just boo-hooing and how beautiful it'll be. Sorry, you won't be there. It's like when you have an old pair of shoes. Anybody given an old pair of shoes or clothes to like the Goodwill?
Mhm.
Even if it was a favorite pair of shoes or a favorite shirt, when it goes to the Goodwill, do you care? I'm waiting to see somebody walk down the street in my favorite shirt. No, it's gone. Because you are not your clothes. You are not your body. What is the constant of this phenomenal world? Swamiji used to call it the Einsteinian world of flux. I always find that very funny because in old-timey days you could have something called bloody flux. It's another term for diarrhea. Is the world just, well,
You said hurl out.
what?
You said hurl out.
But change, flux means change. It's Einsteinian world of change. But in our illusion, our delusion, we want it the way it is forever and always. And it never is. Why am I suffering? Attachment, sangraha. What does graha mean? Literally.
Grab.
To grab,
Snatch.
yeah. San means with. So this is the value of meditating on the fact that the people, places, things, and conditions that I encounter in the waking state and my own body, mind, intellect, and ego are just imagination. That what's real, what has sat existence, and listen carefully, what has bhava, being, is kutastha, as Gita says. Kuta has two meanings. It can mean a mountain, can also mean an anvil. So both of them are still. For the mountain, the weather goes on around it, but the mountain's still. An anvil, the blacksmith can make horseshoes or a sword or barrel hoops. The anvil does not move. So you are stopped, still established like a mountain. Everything moves. Now, that doesn't mean we ignore the world. Do good, be good. But don't take it too seriously. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. This phenomenal world is illusion. Only God, only Brahman is real. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Sarvam idam, all this, Kalu, verily, is God. Consciousness appearing as name and form. All right, next verse.
Advayam chadvaya basam manasvapnena samshayah. Advayam chadvaya basam tata jagranna samshayah. There's no doubt that the non-dual mind itself appears shattered into the plurality of the dream. Likewise, reality, which is also non-dual, appears as the multiple world in the waking state.
So refracted is the word I like to use rather than shattered. One of the images that I like is if you've ever played with a triangular shaped prism. Did you ever do this as kids? And you have a white piece of paper or a sidewalk. The sunlight, which is pure white light, strikes the prism, and the prism causes the light to refract into the spectrum, the rainbow. Who's ever done that? Now, whatever shape the prism is determines how big the spectrum is, how wide the particular bands are. So the subtle intellect is like a prism. And when the light of awareness strikes it, it refracts into my perception of the phenomenal world. And we prove this every night. Where does your world go when your mind is folded up in deep sleep? Gone. My experience of the world is dependent on the functioning of the mind, either in the dream state or the waking state. Now, in the next chapter, we're going to see how this prism of the subtle intellect is really no solid thing. It has incredible power. But it's fundamentally insubstantial. We'll get to that. So the infinite, by means of its inherent Maya Shakti. Remember, the locus of Maya is not in your puny little mind. Your individual zoo is. But you are not creating Alpha Centauri or black holes or the Andromeda Galaxy. They were going on long before humans were even born. But it all comes about like the dream state. Now, if you've had a troubling dream, you wake up, oh, thank God that was just a dream. That was really weird. Who's had that experience? That's the experience of a person awakening from the dream of Jiva Bhavana, the feeling that I'm a person. Now listen carefully, very carefully. The shift between the dreamer and the waker is a gross shift. Yesterday was Friday. Every other Friday, my housekeepers come at 8 o'clock. So I get up at 6. I don't normally get up at 6. I normally get up at 7:30. So I'm dreaming and the alarm goes off. A whang. One world gone, another world there. Who's had that experience? You're tearing my house down.
Working on it.
The shift between Jiva Bhavana, I think I'm a person, and I know I am Brahman, is incredibly subtle. That doesn't mean it's not profound. So you may have walked in this morning and you've been in what we call vyavahara. Literally means transactions. My daily business and duty mind. I did this, I took a shower, I brushed my teeth, I got dressed, I got in the car, I drove over here, I'm going to go for a walk. Remember, you have a sense that I'm a person. But if we slow down the mind for a second, let it thin out. Find a point of attention. The traffic is always a little. It's like see if you can notice who hears. You see, there's nothing there but Chidakash, the space of pure awareness. Who had the sense of that? Where did your ego go? Gone. Just like the dreamer got gone. You can bring it back, but it's not real. If it comes and goes, it's not real. If you can see it go, it's gone. And it's an object of cognition. It's another imagination. How does it come about? Sankalpena, by means of imagination. So, my problem is simply this. Because of ignorance, because of lack of familiarity in my mind with who and what I really am, I superimpose this notion that I'm the body, or the body plus the personality. I am successful. I am a failure. I got a PIP at work. Is that what they call it? Personal improvement plan. That's what they use before they fire you. Or I got exceeds expectations. They only got met expectations. Better. No one could possibly love me. I'm so alone. Or all the silly ideas the mind comes up with. They're like the dream state. Seen, but not real. What's real? Anytime you thin out the mind and introvert the attentive faculty, turn the light of the mind back on its source. Who am I? And it never changes. It's always Chidakash, the space of awareness. Don't believe me. Look. Jim, I try to do that, but I can't seem to get there. Why? Who knows the answer? Sangraha Jiva Bhavanacha. Attachment and identification. Next, Karika, next verse.
Mano drishyamidam dvaitam yatkinchit sacharacharam manaso yamani bhave dvaitam naivopalabhyate. Whatever that is perceived in this world, movable or immovable, is nothing but the perceptions of the mind, is nothing but the mind. For plurality is not perceived when the mind is transcended.
Yes. So whatever we see in the world, people, places, things, and conditions, exterior, my own body, the energy, prana, the mind, feelings, judgments, the intellect, thoughts, memories, even the ego sense is nothing but imagination. And we have two states wherein this is clearly obvious. The first is deep sleep. Where the mind is only covered by pure ignorance. But there's no person and no world there. The other is what we call near vikalpa samadhi. Sama equal the mind. Absolute equanimity of mind. Near or nis, without. Vikalpa, vimarsha, a movement. So absolute stillness of mind. And there's no movement. Swamiji used to say, when the last thought is thoughted, before the next thought starts thoughting. In that space between your thoughts, notice who is it who sees the space and the world has disappeared, but I remain, not an individual. Satchidananda Rupam. My nature is pure existence, consciousness. No sorrow ever touches it and becomes the fountainhead of happiness for the mind. Don't just believe me. Go there, find out. Swamiji used to say, meet me there. Next verse.
Atma satyanubodhena na sankalpayate yada amanastam tada yati graya bhave tadagraham. When the mind does not bring forth any more of these imaginations because of the knowledge of truth, which is Atma, pure consciousness, then it ceases to be mind, and that mind then becomes free from the idea of cognition for want of objects of cognition.
Yes. So we always interpret a verse like this in two ways. When all of the vasanas have been purged, exhausted, when renunciation is complete, mind comes to a stop in nirvikalpa samadhi. In nirvikalpa samadhi, the knower, knowing, and known are gone, they're merged. I am the knower, I am that which is known. I am the means of knowledge, not as an object. How do you know you were you? You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. You know you are. But there's another understanding of manonasha, the destruction of the mind. Because the high state is not to be staying in nirvikalpa samadhi all the time. The mind is based on three ideas only. Jiva bhavana. I think I'm a person. I think the world of name and form is separate from me and inherently joy-giving or misery-producing. And the compulsion, the tyranny of needing to make efforts to struggle. I'll be happy when, it'll be better if. Only those three ideas. I like to use the example of as a kid when you made a card castle. You put three playing cards together and then you try to build a tower on top of them. Any of you try to do that?
Mhm.
What if you take one of the cards at the bottom out? The whole thing comes down. So the destruction of the mind. Oh, by the way, of those three ideas, all you have to do is remove one of them and the other two fall. So you can stay with the practice. Koham, who am I? And when you find the fundamental unreality of the individuality, the other two fall. Or you can meditate on where is happiness and what is this world. Happiness is myself, nature, the world is shunyata, inherently neutral. Or you can work on the struggle or turn your will and your life over to the care of God. As the Master Jesus said, I of myself do no thing. It is the Father within that doeth the work. All three practices lead to the same point, this manonasha. It is possible to move through the world with no personal sense of self. In fact, you probably have moments of it all the time, you just don't recognize it. Whenever the mind is not going, how am I doing? What do they think of me? Am I okay? Because all it is a kind of thinking. But it doesn't mean you can't go to work or cook a meal or take care of the baby. Doesn't mean that. It means these three fundamental ideas are gone. Gatte gatte param gatte parasam gatte bodhi swa. Gone. Gone. Completely gone. Beyond. Totally awake. It's my translation of swaha. Wow. For example, if you just tune up the mind this morning, Really empty out all that thoughting. Your eyes wide open. Now just look around the room. Who can be seen, even though there's no person there looking at it. Really keep your mind very still and just move your hand. You can add without, oh, I'm the best hand mover in the world. It's not necessary. It's only a burden. Let it go. So manonasha, the destruction of the mind, is not some enfeeblement. Doesn't mean that. And it is usually contrasted with manolaya. Manolaya is when the mind moves towards sleep. Do you meditate? Oh, yes, I meditate. I get in my lazy boy. I smoke a joint. Then I put on the new age music. And I'm just gone. It's so restful and peaceful. I'm glad you have some moments where your anxiety is gone, but that's not meditation. That's going unconscious. Mind in samadhi, the mind in meditation is silent, vigilant, and alert. Who here has a cat or has had a cat? You ever watched it when it like see a fly or a moth? It's just absolutely still before it pounces. You ever seen a cat do that? That's tune into the cat at that moment. So still. Or who of us, I'm sure you've never done this, been out with friends and had a couple glasses of wine or a couple beers, and you're driving back home across the bridge and you see a police car behind you. 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Totally vigilant and alert. Who's had that experience? It's much closer to the mind than meditation. Next verse,
So can I ask a question first?
please.
So when you're talking about the mind being very vigilant, to me, it seems to be that's when it's ultra focused on something.
That's a piece of it, yes. But you can have that general stillness without a specific focus. So in the Raja Yoga tradition, where we have the Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 limbs. So we have yamas and niyamas. Those are the first 2. Those are moral precepts. Then we have asana, which is the physical postures. Then pranayama, which is learning to control the energy body by controlling the breath. Pratyahara, which is sense withdrawal, learning to withdraw our obsession with the external world. Then the next is called dharana, Who can tell me what dharana is? Concentration, single pointedness. You hit it. So you can be totally concentrated on the breath in meditation. Those of you who've done the Goenka Vipassana retreats, they have you do a body scan. You stay solely concentrated on what's going on, every sensation in the body. You do meditation with your eyes open. You can do something like light a candle. Just focus on the candle flame. Or just even on a spot on the floor or the wall. There are schools of Zen where you keep your eyes open and you just don't face inward, you face outward on the wall. In some Hindu traditions, so over there we have a murti, it's called, which is an idol, a statue. See Lord Shiva there? In your mind's eye, can you absolutely recreate Lord Shiva as he is in the statue? Totally focused. Then you move into meditation and action. One of Swamiji's favorite sayings, put your mind where your hands are working. Who here during your life, your day, comes across repetitive tasks that you find unpleasant? Maybe doing housework, doing the dishes, taking out the garbage. Who has something like that? True story. I used to hate doing dishes. It was punishment when I was a kid because my mother hated housework. Oh, and for years as a youth, piles of dishes in the kitchen. I just avoided it. And then I was given the assignment. When you're washing a dish, do nothing but wash the dish. And I just did nothing but wash the dish. All of the aversion faded away. Because it had nothing to do with the actual act of dishwashing. It was all stories in my head. Who here hates waiting for people or things? Try being present to the moment. It's like Jessica said, concentration, single pointedness. A single pointed mind is as good as no mind. The single pointed mind is a peaceful mind. And the most powerful mind. Who here has had to do a task that maybe had many steps and you've got some worry or something and you're in your head and the next thing you do, did I do such and such or not? Who's had that experience? Yeah, you were present. What was going on? Dharana, concentration. Concentration then matures into dhyana, which is meditation. We use the capacity to tune up the mind, be single pointed, to just bring it into still. that culminates in samadhi. Very good thought. Thank you for sharing it. Next verse.
अकल्पकम् अजं ज्ञानं ज्ञेया भिन्नं प्रचक्षते ब्रह्मज्ञेयम् अजं नित्यम् अजेनाजं विबुध्यते. The knowledge which is unborn and free from all imaginations is always inseparable from the knowable Brahman. The immutable and the birthless Brahman is the sole object of knowledge, and the birthless is known only by the birthless, say the wise.
So, what Gaudapada is saying here, this is a very important point. We're actually dealing with two kinds of knowledge here. The first knowledge is the real knowledge, the perfect knowledge. And that is the self-evidence of the self. How do you know that you are you? Again, we do not know the self through the senses. You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. Yet you know you are the most miserable of creatures. I like to say, you can go out to the park here, start walking around the lake, and I see these people living in bushes. And if I stop and say, how are you doing today? Oh, terrible. I'm so sorry. It's just really a miserable existence. By the way, do you exist? I mean, what a stupid question. Of course I exist. Well, what's your existence? Idiot, I'm living in a bush. Can you help me out? You must be very miserable. Yes. Do you know your misery? Of course I know my misery. What kind of idiot are you? So the person knows, I am, I know. Here is the great truth. Maya never really covers the self. Only a shunyavadan, a scoliast of the void. Shunya means void. Vadan means a knower or a student of it. Thinks I don't exist. I remember I was doing a workshop up in Humboldt County. This is going back 30 some years. Who here doesn't exist? Up goes a hand. Really? You don't exist? Yes. Have you experienced that? Oh, yes. I have experienced that I don't exist. And to whom did that experience occur? Let me give you an example. Hypothetically, we're sitting here, and 5 minutes ago, Santosh absolutely disappeared. And then he came back. But because you weren't there, you have no experience that you disappeared. We all saw it. Do you get that? You cannot know your own absence. Do you see the phone in my hand? Knowledge of an object. Do you see there's no phone in my hand? Yes. I know the presence and absence of things. I'm thinking of a song. Do you know what song I'm thinking of? You know your ignorance. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Now you know the song. Now you have the objective knowledge. Both ignorance and knowledge are known by you. But you never disappear. You are a constant reality that is Swayambhu, self-evident. Swayam Jyoti, self-luminous. Awareness functioning through the senses is how every object is known. I, Jim, through seeing, see the bowl. But how do you know you are you? I don't know, I just do. That's right. Listen carefully. Everybody has it already. So what is bondage and what is liberation? Both bondage and liberation occur to the mind. What is my bondage? Nothing more than the deeply rooted conviction in my mind that I am my body plus the personality, the cause of which is ignorance, which occurs in my mind. Hypothetically, who here thinks they're not realized? Do you know you are ignorant? Yeah. Do you disappear because you're ignorant? No. But if you think I'm not realized, I'm just my stupid body with its, that's a mind state. It's like the dream. There is no other liberation than the deeply rooted conviction based on direct experience in the mind. Not that I'm a realized person, but I am Brahman. I'm that grounded being. I'm that space of pure awareness. That aha, when the buddhi means intellect, becomes buddha, awake. That's what the guy Buddha's name means. The awake one, the enlightened one. Now, I don't care how realized or enlightened your mind is. Where does it go in deep sleep? It's a mind state. Now, it's an important one because it's only my stupid mind that has problems. My suffering is in the mind, not in itself. So while self-realization exists in the world of illusion, it's still pretty important to that suffering body. It removes the suffering. So the word I like to use is pratyabhinyanam, which means recognition. It's the aha that happens in the mind. From the viewpoint of the absolute, there is no bondage. There is no liberation. Those are like dreams. There is no scripture. There is no guru. There is no shishya, student or disciple. There is no path. Nobody's going anywhere. Only is real. What about reincarnation, Jim? Are you the waker touched by Monday's dream or Wednesday's dream? You ever had a continuing dream? You go back into it, and oh my God, here I am again. Doesn't make it any more real. The self does not incarnate. You are ajati, unborn. Don't believe me? Look. Now, you could manufacture an individuality if you wish, help yourself out. Anytime you thin the mind, tunnel yourself, turn the light of the mind back on its source. Look and see what's there.
It's just happening.
It's just what?
My experience is whenever I do that, there's just, for example, the traffic. There's just hearing itself. There's no distinction between someone that's doing the hearing. It's just the happening.
The language falls short. That's as good as any. But you are there. All right, next verse.
निगृहीतस्य मनसो निर्विकल्पस्य धीमतः प्रचारसतु विज्ञेय सुषुप्तेन्यो न तत्समः. The behavior of the mind that is under perfect control, which is free from all imaginations, sankalpa, and which is brought about with discrimination should be known. The condition of the mind in deep sleep state is altogether of another sort, and it is not like that of a peacefully controlled mind.
So again, he strikes against this idea that manolaya is the goal. And we have people who unconsciously do that. We call them people with clinical depression. Do you have friends who may have suffered from that and they sleep 16, 18 hours a day? Why? Why would you want to sleep? To get away from a suffering mind. That is not the goal. And here we have the term nirvikalpa, near without vikalpa movement. Two meanings always. Nirvikalpa as a mind state, where those three items are gone. No knower, knowing, and known. But it also is another name for yourself. In you, there are no vikalpas. You are ever the watcher of these illusory things called thoughts. So in the great hymn, Nirvana Shatakam, one of the verses says, Aham nirvikalpo. Not I'm in nirvikalpa, but I am nirvikalpa. So our job is to get familiar with that. Throughout the day, stop. At this point, Swamiji with thunder, shut up and get out. People who weren't paying attention, they get up to leave the satsang hall. No. Shut up. Stop the mind. Get out. Okay, we'll end here today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.